dadgum government, you sorry so-and-sos. You got your damn hands in every pocket of my clothes. Well, you dadgum.
The dadgum government. Well, that's the song of the Eye on Muskegon show, and we are back at Sunday morning, folks. Good morning to all of you out there in radio, podcast, iHeartRadio, and computer land. This is Eye on Muskegon. I'm Jim Riley, back again in Muskegon's Clear Channel studios with the superstar, my friend and engineer, the legendary Oscar Osborne.
I thought you were talking about Tracy. Come on.
Well, and we got a familiar face back. I would say Muskegon's arguably the most legendary celebrity, at least living celebrity.
Well, I bow every time he walks in here.
There we go. Tracy Lorenz.
Could have dropped a quarter.
Yeah, exactly. Tracy, good morning to you.
Good morning, Jim and Oscar.
And we've got, coming up at the 9 o'clock hour, we've got the Mackinac Center's Jack Spencer. We're going to be talking about, as promised, we'll be talking about initiatives, referendums, and constitutional amendments, which really have the possibility, or I would even say likelihood, of affecting your life here in Michigan more than some of the dum-dums that we elect to the various offices statewide and locally. So make sure you stick around for 9 o'clock. And we'll listen to Jack Spencer. 6 very, very important issues will be on the ballot in November, and some of them are going to make our buddy Roger Miller howl with anger and pain because of the cost that they're going to bring to us. But if you want to,
it'll be hard to do. Yeah.
Well, we are
scratching at the inside of his coffin.
Well, we have been.
Jim will be out.
We have been so used to getting blasted that certainly somebody howling from underneath the dirt probably would not be heard. But Roger, if he can't say anything specifically, we will let him live on every Sunday morning on our radio show. If you want to call in, we definitely want to hear from you. We are a talk radio show. The number is 231-830-3109. Although when we do have a phone-in guest, and Jack is in Lansing, Michigan, you won't be able to call in. So you got about a half hour, a little less than a half hour to call in. I always like, one of the things I like to do, because I'm kind of a history buff, is talk about this day in history. And in the how did that work out for you category on this day in history, in good old 1099, which interestingly is a number we're all familiar with if we are an employer or an employee. But in 1099, Jerusalem fell to the Crusaders, which I would imagine it was the Muslims who apparently lost that particular
Roger
battle.
Chiaverini was the coach.
And it could very well have been.
I was waiting for that.
So it's only been since 1099 that the Crusaders had changed ownership. So
we're number one.
That's gone on a little bit. And again, with the how did that work out for you? In 1958, 5,000 U.S. Marines landed in Beirut, Lebanon, to protect the pro-Western government. How'd that work out? Not all that well. And as I think a lot of folks here in Muskegon would love to celebrate this day, the grandly non-revered President Nixon in 1971 announced that he would visit the People's Republic of China and try to get them to make the uniforms for our Olympics sometime down the road. And apparently he succeeded there. I'm not quite sure that's turned out to be all that great for the rest of us, but on this day, that's big stuff, guys.
What year was it he legalized hemp? That was Nixon, wasn't it?
Illegalized hemp?
Yeah.
Oh. I'm unaware of that. Hemp was illegal, and then it became illegal?
Illegalized so he could deal with the 60s people that were...
Now, hemp is legal now, so somebody must have unlegalized
well,
it.
He that's what I heard as a story. I don't know, I'm not sure when it was, but he legalized it so he could deal with the people in the streets that were saying bad things about Vietnam and this and that. And
well, that's probably what sent the all the clothing manufacturers off to China then, because they couldn't make the nice hemp. Who knows? Ralph
Lauren
Lauren
was supposed to be like the strongest rope there is, right?
Well,
and doesn't Woody Harrelson, doesn't he own a hemp farm?
Yes, but Woody's constantly scratching and he's chafing all the time. It's a very sad story.
I'm sorry, just the Nixon. He's just one of my favorite men
out of all the things you pick out from Nixon.
Hemp.
He turned down hemp.
Well, there's important stuff going on there, folks. Hey, there are important things going on that we really do want to talk about, and we had we've got elections coming up, and one of the reasons that we're having Jack Spencer in is because as part of these elections, it's not just voting for individuals for public office, but it is to vote for these initiatives. But you want to be as knowledgeable as possible, and as I've been mentioning, the election that we're having in August 7th, which is the primary for both Republicans and Democrats, will be very, very important, more so than in the past, because if some of the county-wide offices, the county prosecutor and the county sheriff, whoever wins that primary is going to be the prosecutor and the sheriff, because there is no challenge from the opposite political party come November. And I have been harping on this, and thankfully, Paula Holmes-Greeley stopped by our little group on Thursday at Carmen's and announced that they will be supporting, along with MCC, Muskegon Community College, a debate between the 3 prosecutor candidates and the 3 sheriff candidates. And that's going to be on Tuesday the 17th and Wednesday the 18th. I don't know who's going to be who on that, but they're going to start at 6:30. They will be on MCC TV at some point. I don't know if it's going to be live. I just don't know the answer to that. But it will be on down the road.
They should have a duel for the sheriff.
Well, you would
Put
think.
Right on the street.
Well,
draw. The old West. You have a sheriff. I want a fast gun if I got a sheriff.
That's right.
Well, why not something like Westworld, where they could reenact Westworld?
Yeah.
And we can get a bald.
Get Yul Brynner out there.
Get Yul Brynner out there. Yeah. But I think that's important. Put that in your calendar. You've got to be knowledgeable about it. Unfortunately, the 3 county commissioners races that will also be final on August 7th, they're not going to be addressing those at all. And one wonders why, but I guess you just have to wonder. They're not going to do that, so you have to do your own homework. But this all comes with the concept of something that's been very important to me, which is transparency in government. And I'll read you something.
I'm just curious real quick before we read that. Are you going to film that and put it on your site?
I'm going to bring the camera. I will attend it, and I will bring the camera, and I'm in hopes that they'll allow me to film it. I can't imagine they wouldn't, but I'll put it on Eye on Muskegon. But I'd really much rather put a link on eyeonmuskegon.com to the MCC site, because I can assure you their filming would be far more professional than mine. So we'll do whatever we can to get the word out, and it looks to me like they've got very, very full support from the Chronicle. So that should be good. All those years
of pirating movies, and you can't get it down yet? Or you don't have the technology?
Well, I got to tell you, there was a meeting in Muskegon, the Muskegon County Commissioners this week, where they brought in an expert on fracking, which is injecting water into the ground so that you can more easily get the natural or the petroleum, and I think maybe natural gas too, out of the ground. And fracking as an issue is certainly worthy of discussion. It's not a new technology, but there are many, many folks that are against it for a variety of reasons, and obviously there are many folks that are for it. But there was a meeting, and it was intended to be what they call a public meeting at the county commission, where the county commissioners brought in an expert on fracking, and this gentleman was one of the regulators that made sure that this was clean and it didn't hurt the water and things of that sort, but from the state of Michigan. So this is a guy that had answers. This is a guy who really knew stuff.
Can I jump in for a second?
Absolutely.
As you know, I'm one of the foremost experts on fracking in the greater Muskegon area. Where is this oil and natural gas that they're worried about? Is it in Muskegon County, or is this
a great question.
Nationally?
That's a great question, and it's a question that you asked here, because you would not have been allowed to ask that question at this meeting.
I tried to ask it there, and I was actually signing it.
Well, you would have had to sign it. As a matter of fact, had the chairman of that committee, Marv Engel, seen you signing, he probably would have had you escorted out by the armed sheriffs who were brought in to make sure that people did not ask questions or make statements. But in answer to your question, because we do not have sheriffs, and we do encourage questions.
I am not a crook.
And Tracy, as of yet, has not been designated as a crook. There is discussion of allowing some type of exploration out at the county wastewater site for oil and natural gas. And apparently fracking is a way where you can get at that petroleum, these fossil fuels that we'd not been able to go after before. So it's possibly a windfall. Could be very good for Muskegon County, but certain people have fears that it may be environmentally dangerous, and it's certainly a worthy,
as opposed to a landfill.
Well, yes,
hate to mess that up.
Right.
Well, there are legitimate arguments against it, and I'm not prepared and certainly not knowledgeable enough to address that. Although I wouldn't mind having an open discussion about this. But my point in bringing this up is that the county commissioners said there will be no questions asked, certainly no answers given, and no applause or comments of any sort allowed by the peons, which were the citizens who attended this meeting. And I've been going to county commission meetings for over 3 years now, and this is the fullest meeting I have ever seen. There were people standing out actually in the halls. All the seats were taken, of course, and there were people that were complaining certainly beforehand when they found out that this rule that we will speak to you and we will not allow you to make any comment whatsoever. And it was so.
I'm sure that wasn't just a rule for you.
It might very well have been, and then surprisingly,
it's an O'Reilly rule. There you go.
Well, I can promise you they're not fond of hearing me when I get up, and they certainly don't answer my questions when I ask them. But there were many people that were quite upset because they, for a lot of reasons, but these meetings are very inconveniently timed, and they had changed the timing around. It was clear they didn't want public people there, but because of the Open Meetings Act, that they were required to make this a public meeting, and it gave to me clearly the sense of the mindset of our leaders who have got us into this well over $100 million debt. They only need us to stick their hands in our pockets and then just kick us, and please be silent. So we can't be totally silent because someone's got to pay the bill. So we will take a break here, and we'll be back shortly.
Bad boys, what you want, what you want, what you gonna do when Chevy John Brown come for you?
Call Bad Boys Bail Bonds. Open 24/7, 365 days a year. Agents statewide and nationwide. We do 10% bonds for less. Call toll free 866-728-6400. And remember, if we can't get you out, you ain't getting out. Payment plans available. Call now, 866-728-6400. Classic Computer Sales and Service. They buy, sell, trade, repair, and upgrade. New custom-built computers, 3-year guarantee, excludes laptops. Or your computer tuned up with more memory, hard drive, or maybe a DVD burner installed for $49.95. Need cables, power supply, or get the computer built the way you want it. You can do it at Classic Computer in their new location, 1921 Apple Avenue, Suite B. Call 773-5957. Classic Computer with hometown quality service.
I'm running for Circuit Court Judge in the 14th Circuit for the state of Michigan. In my 35 years of practicing law, I have had the luxury of practicing in almost all areas of the law, including personal injury, labor, construction, negligence, malpractice, real estate, divorce, contracts, insurance, zoning, criminal, many areas of the law. If I'm elected circuit court judge, it is unlikely that I will encounter much of any issue as a judge that I have not already encountered and have experience with as an attorney practicing law. The uniqueness has to do with the breadth and scope of my practice and experience that I've had over the years. Much of it in circuit court, but also in other venues as well as in judicial venues.
Paid for by the committee to elect David Wells for Circuit Court Judge.
What do you get at Little River?
More fun than ever!
This month, celebrate the beginning of summer with a $150,000 summer sweepstakes. Come for huge cash drawings every Thursday and 2 special Saturday drawings June 16th and June 30th, worth a total of $100,000. Win entries every day, plus 50 bonus entries Saturday, June 2nd, 9th, and 23rd at any promo kiosk. Then be here to win big Saturday, June 16th and again on the 30th. Dive into summer with loads of cash in our $150,000 $1,000 summer sweepstakes. Play Sunday through Thursday and get points for gas. Plus, get 3 times points every Sunday. Mondays, play Bull Rider kiosks for food and river credits. Tuesdays, get floor-wide pinball payouts all day. Wednesdays, come in for Club 55. And Fridays, take advantage of BOGO Buffet. Check LICR.com for promo details.
More fun than ever. Olson's has been around since Tom's grandfather started it in 1885, selling pianos, organs, and sewing machines. And let's not forget about steamship tickets. After electricity, they've been known around the Muskegon area for their name brand appliances like LG and Whirlpool. Olson's at 881 Lincoln are open Monday through Friday from 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. and Saturday from 10 a.m. to 3 p.m. Olson's also has great flat screens, great prices, knowledgeable service techs, manufacturer warranty, local delivery, hauling away old appliances, and hookup. Need appliance repair? Call Olson's experienced and honest technicians for the best value in town. So call a local business that's been in Muskegon since before electricity. Olson's, a local name you can trust. 881 Laketon, open Monday through Friday from 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. and Saturday from 10 a.m. to 3 p.m. Or call 722-2458. Olson's.
Make a run for the border. Taco Bell is waiting to cook for you. Delicious tacos, nachos, chalupas, gorditas, quesadillas, or try their famous grilled stuffed burrito for only $1.99. Make it a combo for only $3.49. Their large variety includes specialties, combos, supreme salads, and kids' meals. Taco Bell, the best fast food north of the border. So walk in or drive up. Visit all of the Taco Bells in West Michigan. Open Sunday through Thursday, 10 a.m. to 11 p.m. Taco Bell's open Fridays and Saturdays from 10 a.m. until 1 a.m.
Well, you dadgum government, you sorry so-and-sos. You got your damn hands in every pocket of my clothes. Well, you dadgum.
That dadgum government, but if you asked the folks who are the leaders of our county government, it would be the dadgum citizens, because they're not, they get annoying when they ask questions. This is Eye on Muskegon. I'm Jim Riley, here with Tracy Lorenz and the legendary Oscar Osbo.
The Riley rule. Don't ask questions. It's the Riley rule. It's in the Constitution now.
Well, let me read.
Wheeling you out like Hannibal Lecter. Like you can come in, they got you on a hand cart with a ball gag in your mouth, and
you know what? I got to tell you,
around your head.
If you attended that meeting, or if you watched, I did put the video of the two meetings on eyeonmuskegon.com. But if you watch the video, you can be sure that had that Hannibal Lecter option been available, they would have allocated funds right there for the masks and the chairs and the whole song and dance. Because when
I got the hand card I could donate, but anyway.
Well, think about this though. What you had was a bunch of people who were interested, and it was publicized as a meeting to talk about fracking in Muskegon, and when the people found out they weren't allowed to, ask a question, think about it. Not one of those 11 county commissioners could answer any of these questions about fracking. We had a very highly paid, very knowledgeable, and he was more than prepared to interact with the assembled folks there. When they weren't allowed to ask any questions, and that, of course, the county commissioners not only wouldn't know the answers, but the answers or the questions that the county commissioners asked were really embarrassing. I mean, if you're thinking about voting for a single sitting county commissioner, you might want to look at this video first and rethink, because the questions that they asked on our behalf were really quite sad.
Do you think that's why the gag order was put on, because they didn't know the answers? They didn't look like idiots, so they just said, nobody can ask a question.
Well, but that might have been the reason, but the problem, of course, was that they didn't have to know the answers. They had the expert there. This was an opportunity to impart information, and sadly, they didn't do it. But here's where it got thuggish, and I truly mean thuggish. When with all these people there, the county commissioners, and I would assume it would have been the chairman of this particular meeting, Marv Engel, had an armed sheriff's officer come in to the room, stood there with the arms up, just like the intimidation look, And he was a gentleman, and certainly he was not happy at being brought there as the enforcer. And then and he kind of wandered around, let people know that he did have a 45 on the hip, or no, it was a 40 with I'm sure the home defender.
Either way, it'll take you out.
Soft tips, yeah. So that if in fact you offended the county commissioners in any way, well, someone did have the audacity to make a all right, or made a exclamation.
They tased him right there
from the well,
dropped him.
Honestly, if you could have seen the look on Commissioner Engel's face, where he waved his arm to the sheriff and said, "Any more comments and you're out of here." I mean, it was
wow.
Soviet style. It truly.
They just drag him out, kicking and screaming. No.
Honestly, at that point, I strongly considered.
I
ought to press
you
this
should have got
issue.
arrested somehow. Yeah.
Well, I don't think it would have taken much if you could have seen. But again, that's the way they think.
But this is okay.
I mean, it's funny in retrospect, but maybe this is one of the reasons why we're in the mess we're in, is that these folks who don't seem to be very creative when it comes to asking questions of experts aren't very creative in any other things. But tell me who wrote this. Government should be participatory. Public engagement enhances the government's effectiveness and improves the quality of its decisions. Knowledge is widely dispersed in society, and public officials benefit from having access to that dispersed knowledge. Who do you think? And as somebody who's
Stalin.
There's somebody who's alive today.
Oh, alive today. Not Roger Miller.
And I don't think it would have been Stalin. It's the gentleman who promised to stop the rising of the seas.
Obama?
President Obama suggested that we should have participatory government with the little people. Now, whether they actually believe that or not is another thing. But it's clear that our Democrat-dominated county board of commissioners and the three Republican collaborators with those Democrats do not share in the view of the President of the United States. And I think that's unfortunate, because the reality is that we just had, as everybody I hope in Muskegon County knows, we just had the Muskegon Heights School District go bankrupt. To tremendous negative effect of an awful lot of people. San Bernardino, California became the third California city in less than a month to declare bankruptcy. Scranton, Pennsylvania, of course, we know just went bankrupt. Syracuse, New York is looking at Scranton, Pennsylvania's disaster. Pennsylvania city workers in Scranton, get this now, they were automatically, all their pay scales were reduced to minimum wage.
Wow.
Because the county or the city ran out of money. These are not things that just might happen in the future. These are things that are happening in this country today.
Of course, in the Heights, minimum wage would be like big boost. They'll be like high-fiving. Ooh.
Well, it would be if there were any jobs in the Heights. And
shouldn't they have put minimum wage beforehand? I mean, wouldn't that have helped things out, not to go bankrupt if it's on after the fact?
I got to tell you, that's a great question. Is there any vision going forward?
There's no vision
at all, and there isn't. And I think
we go to the end of the road and then we say, "Oh, geez, I guess we got to do something."
Well, think about this. Every passenger and almost every crew member on the Titanic and on the Costa Concordia thought that the cruise was spectacular until they heard a crunch. Now, so even though you could look way out there and say, hey, there's some stuff out there that could cause you consternation, everybody thought it was fine until it was too late. And that appears to be the way that not only that our county leaders and sadly city and school board leaders in West Michigan are reacting, but they don't want to hear you if you're on the front of that Titanic and you're waving your arms and you're not saying I'm king of the world. You're saying, holy moly, there's a big ice cube in front of us. It's going to take the ship down.
Right.
And if you do have the temerity to make nasty comments or any kind of comment, then they do have an armed sheriff who will go put you in the jail to fill it up, which will then be proof that we need more room in the jail, and then we need a new jail. So that's the mindset sadly, of...
Yeah, Riley wrote a letter that the jail toilet was leaking, so we need a new jail. Okay.
well,
let's not fix the plumbing. Let's just get a new jail.
Well, it would be interesting to see the arguments from the prosecutor and the sheriff. Of course, they are the two at least at this point that are keeping
I've lived
the
in
jail
places
full.
worse in worse shape than the jail is right now.
I looked up at the jail.
Yeah, I looked up. Yeah, exactly.
When I was in college.
That's like college, right?
Yeah.
Dorms. I mean, come on. That's pretty much jail living.
I lived on a porch for a whole summer.
Well, I tell you this.
Let's give our criminals better. Doggone it.
When you view the jail as your own private Holiday Inn and the taxpayer as the person who's going to redecorate it or build you a new one, and you come up with excuses why we need a new jail, which essentially are kind of minimal, because the biggest argument is that the jail isn't nice. And from everyone I've spoken with who's been through the jail, it's, it's awful. It needs paint. It needs carpet. It's got leaky pipes. Well, jeepers! Isn't that where we all lived?
Well, yeah.
Isn't that fixable stuff?
Don't they have pretty cheap labor there to take care of that?
There you go.
I'll give the guy a paintbrush.
There was ruling too that supposedly if you paint the walls pink, it'll soothe people. So there you go. Paint all the walls pink. Be all set.
Well, or you could do what the sheriff Aparo in Arizona. You can make them wear pink. You can put them in tents. Anyway. I'm sure that if we had another public hearing on this, we would have a similar response from the leaders.
Yeah, we're all going to jail when we leave the show today.
Yeah. We'll get a chance to
talk about our jail.
Yeah. Well, you know what? I think there's certain people that would be real happy to give us a
softball there. It didn't seem that bad.
Well. You mean at the prison?
At the prison.
Okay, well, the prison is going to be reopened.
Yeah.
The jail's a little different issue. We're running a little bit short on time here, but the Chronicle constantly puts out Muskegon free food truck sites. They do this weekly, and it now seems to be the norm. And sadly, we are developing a society, a part of our society that believes that food ought to be free, certainly with the food stamps and things of that sort. But here's a result of that mentality. Flint officials warn against scam that Obama will pay utility bills. And apparently some poor folks are being approached on the telephone with people saying, hey, President Obama will start paying your utility bills if you just do this. And So people are getting scammed. There's a belief, certainly in some cultures within our society, that literally everything ought to be free. And that's kind of scary.
In Flint.
Yeah, well, this is, of course, Flint.
Flint should have an apostrophe in its name.
Well,
Flint.
Well, the interesting thing is Genesee County's budget is actually better than Muskegon County's budget in terms of unfunded pensions for its employees. So think about we are one of the few counties actually. Not all that similar from Wayne County, but Muskegon County can look up to Genesee County, where Flint is, for advice on how to run your county.
Wow.
So that's a sad situation. I don't think we'll have a public meeting about that.
Yeah.
Well, we are going to come up. We've got Jack Spencer from the Mackinac Center, and the Mackinac Center. Just for those of you, I won't take time afterwards, but the Mackinac Center really does the investigative journalism that the newspapers essentially have stopped doing. So we're coming up to a break here. We will talk with you folks after the news.
Make a run for the border. Taco Bell is waiting to cook for you. Delicious tacos, nachos, chalupas, gorditas, quesadillas, or try their famous grilled stuffed burrito for only $1.99. Make it a combo for only $3.49. Their large variety includes specialties, combos, supreme, salads, and kids' meals. Taco Bell, the best fast food north of the border. So walk in or drive up. Visit all of the Taco Bells in West Michigan. Open Sunday through Thursday, 10 a.m. to 11 p.m. Taco Bell's open Fridays and Saturdays from 10 a.m. until 1 a.m.
Olson's has been around since Tom's grandfather started it in 1885, selling pianos, organs, and sewing machines. And let's not forget about steamship tickets. After electricity, they've been known around the Muskegon area for their name brand appliances like LG and Whirlpool. Olson's at 881 Laketon are open Monday through Friday from 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. and Saturday from 10 a.m. to 3 p.m. Olson's also has great flat screens, great prices, knowledgeable service techs, manufacturer warranty, local delivery, hauling away old appliances, and hookup. Need appliance repair? Call Olson's experienced and honest technicians for the best value in town. So call a local business that's been in Muskegon since before electricity. Olson's, a local name you can trust. 881 Laketon, open Monday through Friday from 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. and Saturday from 10 a.m. to 3 p.m. Or call 722-2458. Olson's.
I'm running for Circuit Court Judge in the 14th Circuit for the state of Michigan. As a Circuit Court Judge, I would do my very best and promote not only maintaining the courts that we have and building up the fledgling ones that we have, but also developing a drug court in Muskegon. I think it's very important. It's going to take a Circuit Court Judge who is dedicated to this because it involves a lot of coordination with the prosecutor's office and the defender's office. You need grants and you need income for these specialized treatment programs.
Other judges that we have here in the county, they really bring not just temperament and great judgment and compassion, but they bring an array of experience. Seems to me that you have an awful lot of that already, and I wish you the best in the coming election.
Thank you. I hope the voters feel that way too on August 7th.
Paid for by the committee to elect David Wells for Circuit Court Judge.
Classic Computer Sales and Service. They buy, sell, trade, repair, and upgrade. New custom-built computers, 3-year guarantee, excludes laptops. Or your computer tuned up with more memory, hard drive, or maybe a DVD burner installed for $49.95. Need cables, power supply, or get the computer built the way you want it? You can do it at Classic Computer in their new location, 1921 Apple Avenue, Suite B. Call 773-5957. Classic Computer with hometown quality service.
Bad boys, what you want, what you want, what you gonna do when Sheriff John Brown come for you?
Call Bad Boys Bail Bonds, open 24/7, 365 days a year. Agents statewide and nationwide. We do 10% bonds for less. Call toll free 866-728-6400. And remember, if we can't get you out, you ain't getting out. Payment plans available. Call now, 866-728-6400.
News Talk 1090, WKBZ.
Well, you dadgum government, you sorry so-and-sos. You got your damn hands in every pocket of my clothes. Well,
And we are back at Eye on Muskegon, Muskegon's #1 rated political talk radio show. Oscar Osbo, Tracy, Lorenz.
Number one.
Number one? Well, we are.
Hey.
And it's a stranglehold that we have. And we've got on the phone.
Ted Nugent.
Yes, absolutely. We got on the phone with us from, I would say, arguably the greatest non-governmental organization in the state of Michigan, the Mackinac Center. We got the Mackinac Center's expert on lots of stuff, Jack Spencer. Good morning, Jack.
Good morning. I'm glad to be here.
Well, we're glad to have you. Matter of fact, glad to have you and the Mackinac Center doing the hard work in terms of investigating what government is doing to us and for us on occasion that frankly the newspapers have stopped doing. You know, as an aside, did you happen to see there was a headline this past week? It said the Detroit News isn't shutting down yet. I caught that on I think it was on M Live, but apparently that joint operating agreement expires in a few years.
People have talked about that may not survive for quite a while.
Yeah, well, it is awful that our newspapers are nothing what they used to be, and they may disappear. And again, thanks for the Mackinac Center.
Paper I delivered for 4 years.
Well,
News.
it was the first job for probably millions of Americans. Yes,
Less for me.
And provided income and job skills and everything else. Well, we need maybe the word will evolve. The world will evolve in much the way it has, with the internet and all the changes. But it will evolve into hundreds of points of light like the Mackinac Center and our show to a far, far lesser extent. But anyway, Jack, you have been following one of these initiatives. I'm not sure if it's an initiative, a referendum, or a constitutional amendment. But there are 6 of them on the ballot in November. And the reason that we wanted to have you on today was to talk about one in particular, but to touch on the other 5, because these have the potential to affect life here in Michigan, really more than any individual elected politician for as long as we live.
Well, That's true. And there are some very significant ones. There's some that are extraordinarily ugly in that mix.
Well, let's take the one that you have really almost singly championed, and I would say is one of the most odious, ugly, horrible stories that even if you are a hardcore union supporter, this ought to turn your stomach.
Well, it would, but you were talking about the lack of newspaper coverage and so on, and that is exactly what the people behind this ballot proposal are hoping, is that they can slip it by because taking advantage of people's ignorance and the fact that we no longer have the newspapers out there investigating this stuff and doing the coverage they used to do.
Well, Jack, this can't be a bad initiative because it's got such a nice little puppy dog sounding name. It's called the Citizens for Affordable Quality Home Care. How could anybody, other than a Republican, how could anybody be against this affordable home health care?
It's got absolutely nothing to do with keeping good health care at home or anything else. It should be called something different. Let us keep stealing might be the better
I already trademarked that
name for it. It's simply built upon lie upon lie upon lie, which is what it came from initially. A scam that was done without any chance for the news media to cover it, that took place in 2005 and wasn't discovered until 2009.
And who are the people that you're alleging are doing the stealing?
This was the Service Employees International Union, and what they did is in 2005, secretly, under when Jennifer Granholm was governor, they managed to unionize the tens of thousands of people in the state who were in the federal home help program. That's the program that's been around for years and years that allows people to stay at home when they're elderly or have kids that are developmentally disabled. They can care for them at home instead of having to institutionalize them. The union got in secretly. They unionized them, and you can read about how they did it in the publication Michigan Capital Confidential. But at this point, the issue is they unionized them. They've been taking money from their Medicaid checks in dues, and this proposal is a way for them to lock that into the Michigan Constitution so that nobody can stop them from continuing to take the dues out.
Now, just a procedural issue here. Is all that's necessary to change or to add an amendment to the Michigan Constitution is just a simple vote on an election? I don't know if this would be an amendment to the Constitution. Is that all that's necessary?
Really, this is up to the voters now. It's a vote, and as long as they've crossed all the technical T's and dotted all the technical I's, which it looks like they probably have, they put this thing on the ballot. They did it by lying about what it was when they got the signatures, and they're going to continue that lie. What they are going to do, and they've telegraphed this.
And by they, you mean the SEIU?
The SEIU.
Okay.
Yeah, what the union is going to do is they are going to run this on that they are creating the home help program. They're going to make people believe and take advantage of so many voters out there who may not know this program has existed for years and make it look like people are voting to create a program where mom and dad can stay home in their twilight years instead of having to be institutionalized. It is blatant. If you look at their website and everything else, that is what they're going to run on. They're going to run on the lie that they're creating something that already exists.
Now, let's get into what in fact it will do. What you're saying here is that already the state has had for years, probably decades, has had the ability to give help to people who want to take care of, but it's primarily family members in their own homes. So is it a SSI kind of a check, or how
it's a Medicaid check. It's actually a federal program that then, of course, the state takes the money and makes it the Michigan version of the federal program, but it's federal pass-through money.
All right, so they get money, which keeps their family member out of the hospital or out of a home or something along those lines. And for the most part, let's say the check was just for argument's sake $100. They would get the $100 and then go spend it on the health care of the family member. Now the union, and I want to talk about how they did ultimately get unionized, but now the union is saying that, okay, you're union members, and we're going to take our union dues right out of the check, so you won't even have to, you won't be inconvenienced by mailing a check in. Is that the essence of this?
Yes, they managed to do that secretly in 2005. They've been doing it for 7 years. The legislature has finally cracked down on it. It will stop eventually if things take their natural course. It's in the courts right now, but eventually it would shut down. That's why they're resorting to a ballot proposal.
But didn't most of these home health care providers vote to be in the union?
No, this was done all secretly. The news media didn't know about the election, and a huge number of these people didn't know about the election. And the core of that whole thing was the creation of a dummy employer where everyone across the state had no idea somebody was claiming they were the employee of some entity with a long name that they'd never even heard of before.
Well, okay, but if the bulk of these home care providers didn't vote to join the union, why are they in the union?
They're in the union because basically some very clever people in the union understood the employment relations laws. They saw the opportunity for a scam, which depended very, very much on the news media not knowing about it or recovering it, and having something you could do behind closed doors, and they did it all behind closed doors. It happened in 2005. Most of the news media, including Mackinac Center, didn't find out about it until 2009.
So these folks who were providing the home health care, actually, they probably didn't even know that the dues were being taken out because the check went directly into their checking account, right?
Oh yeah, they didn't know that, and plus you get a check from the government. How close do you look at the back of it?
Yeah. And of course, it does change. Those government check the amounts will change for various reasons at various times. So the fact that it changed isn't going to signal anybody that oops, something's going on. Well, okay. Well, let me ask you this again. I want to go back into how these folks did initially get unionized. Wasn't the initially everyone was sent a postcard, and then those people returned a postcard? Is that the way it works?
Allegedly, everybody was sent a postcard, but remember, the people who claimed they were sent a postcard were the union. I mean, the union controlled the dummy employer, which the bureaucrats treated as if it was a real employer, so they act like this is a real employer making sure the alleged employees got a card. But the union was the one who has the list of names that they operate with. We know that they claim that everybody got cards. We also understand that when the election took place, it's estimated as many as a third of the ballots came back saying incorrect address.
But a majority of those that did come back, shockingly, did say, we'd love the idea of having union dues taken out of our checks. What was the benefit that they got? I mean, sometimes, people join voluntarily unions, so they must have gotten a pretty nice benefit for being a union member.
They get no benefits. They can't get benefits. As a matter of fact, the ballot proposal here, which makes to some extent a copy of what took place in the unionization, makes it very clear that these people can't get benefits.
So, okay, now... the union, in some manner, in conjunction, or I would say collaboration with the Granholm administration and obviously the supporters within primarily the Democrat Party, were able to get this this vote. They voted. They don't get any benefits. There can't be a lot of money involved here, can there?
It's over $30 million. And another thing to remember about the vote, Jim, only 16% of those eligible to vote voted in it.
Only 16% of all of these home health care providers. So, and these folks may be not tremendously astute at looking at complex paperwork and things of that sort, right?
I think you could have a pretty high degree, actually, of educational level. And if you'd gotten one of these things in the mail, you could have tossed it. It was confusing even if you got it.
All righty. Okay. And again, I know that if someone sent me a postcard saying, are you interested in joining the #1 radio talk show host union, I probably wouldn't look at it. I would just throw it out.
Right.
But in fact, if I threw it out and 3 folks in Grand Rapids did not, I might end up being forcefully in a union.
Well, it's more the other way. 3 people toss it out, and 1 person out of the 3 is the one that votes. Look, here's what the union did. The union contacted the people they knew were activists and told them what was going to happen. Everybody else just continued on their ignorance, having no conception whatsoever that any of this was going on. And they got the vote they wanted because they controlled who voted in the election. And of course, without any news media coverage. And this was the first election in Michigan, employment election in Michigan, unionization election, ever done by mail. You would have thought that alone would have caused somebody in the administration under Granholm to tell the news media, hey, we're doing something that we've never done before.
So
but
this
of course, they kept it quiet.
And they kept it quiet because they weren't all that particularly proud of what they were doing. Because you would think that if they were proud, they were doing the right thing for these home health care providers, and certainly the people who were ill or aged or whatever, who were the beneficiaries of this entire program. You would think that they'd be proud of this, but in fact, they were so quiet that even their buddies in the Detroit Free Press and the News didn't catch it, and you guys at the Mackinac Center didn't catch it.
There was no way to catch it.
Yeah.
It wasn't something that was posted. It wasn't a question of... And I honestly wonder how much of the people in the regular news media now, the editors and so on, and the people in the that run the producers of news shows, I still wonder if they've gotten it through their heads yet that this wasn't something they missed or something that, gee, why didn't we see the email, or why didn't we notice the public notice about this? I'm not sure most of them even now realize there wasn't any way they could have known. This isn't a story they fell behind on. It's a story that initially they had no way of covering.
You weren't on the list for a postcard.
Yeah.
Well, and actually, and they got that list, of course, because the state sent the checks out, so they could all do it in a closed room. Well, okay, you said something to me off air that really kind of sent a chill down my spine, because you said that even today the media doesn't know much about it, and we're going to talk about some of these other initiatives, including the Detroit Bridge, where there's somebody for it and somebody against it, and they're going to make some noise. But in this particular one, which again, let me say the name of it because it sounds so nice and puppy dog and apple pie-ish. It's the Citizens for Affordable Quality Home Care. Again, any person with a heart has to vote for something with a title like that. But there is no organized group with any money out there, with perhaps the exception of the Mackinac Center and the colossus of AM radio here in the West Coast, WKBZ, on Muskegon. But there's nobody out there who is getting advertising or getting the word out to people. Am I correct in that?
As far as we know, there won't be. And remember, Mackinac Center is a nonprofit, so we can't get engaged in the actual electioneering.
Okay, you can just pass the word out.
That's all we can do. We can act like basically the job that the regular news media used to do.
And if the unions, and of course he's true, because of the news media, as Jack has just said, we don't even, in many cases, the traditional news media doesn't even know today, even though you guys, if you just go to the capitalconfidential.com and Google Jack Spencer, all of these articles going back years now will pop up. Is it possible, is it legal that the unions can advertise on behalf of this? Make sure you vote for Citizens for Affordable Quality Home Care?
I suspect they'll have the ads up. Remember, they made $30 million off this, so they've got the money.
They made $30 million. That money was taken out of these households here in Michigan, of families who definitely need the money, and it was given to the union. $30 million. Now, what are they doing with the $30 million?
Well, the $30 million, the way these unions operate, the affiliate right here in Michigan has to send a good hunk of that to Washington, D.C., to the national union. But the national union can come in and help them with the ads, so that's kind of a wash. They basically can use that money for whatever they want. They could have used it in the Obama campaign. They still could use it to help Obama. They could use it to help any lawmaker they want to see get elected. Whatever else, obviously, we assume they're going to use a lot of it to try to get their this scam that they've been operating locked into our Constitution.
You have a kind of a down dog attitude on this morning. Are you fearful? Well, I know you're fearful, but I mean, do you think this thing is going to pass?
I think that it's going to be. Here's what they have going for them. They're going to just simply lie. What they're actually doing, they're never going to mention, and they're going to say, "Look, shouldn't these people be allowed to stay home and be taken care of instead of having to be put into a senior center or something like that?" I do believe a lot of voters will not realize that program has existed and has been around for years and is already available. And if there isn't somebody to say, whoa, here's what this really does, I think a lot of voters could walk right into that poll, read this, and say, hey, this is one that actually sounds like a good idea, and not realize what they're voting for.
This turns my stomach. If you are obviously, if you are a conservative and you've heard this show and read Jack's columns about this, you're aware of it, and it ought to just make you sick. But I cannot believe that I know of a single union member or union-supporting family that if they knew the story about this, just wouldn't be offended that this is being done in the name of the union worker. This is awful.
Well, it's incredible, and if you read the ballot proposal, which of course most people won't, you'd be amazed. They lock in the way the board would operate on this thing so that forever and ever on into the future, basically union-friendly people would be the majority on the board. As I said, they very carefully spell out that these people are basically only going to have dues taken out of their checks. They're going to get no other benefit from it. The only benefit they've ever claimed is that they got them raises. They didn't. These checks went up like they normally would have when the legislature periodically would vote for some kind of increase. Had nothing to do with being unionized. But now, you can look right into the actual wording of the proposal, and it's very clear that these people don't get benefits. There's nothing, no kind of union benefits they could get from it. It says clearly this is for collective bargaining purposes only, and they do not and will not get the benefits that regular public employees might get.
It truly does get worse. We're coming up to a break here. Please hang on. We're going to talk about other equally wonderful initiatives that we're going to be voting on. So we'll be back at Eye on Muskegon.
Make a run for the border. Taco Bell is waiting to cook for you. Delicious tacos, nachos, chalupas, gorditas, quesadillas, or try their famous grilled stuffed burrito for only $1.99. Make it a combo for only $3.49. Their large variety includes specialties, combos, supreme salads, and kids' meals. Taco Bell, the best fast food north of the border. So walk in or drive up. Visit all of the Taco Bells in West Michigan. Open Sunday through Thursday, 10 a.m. to 11 p.m. Taco Bell's open Fridays and Saturdays from 10 a.m. until 1 a.m.
Olson's has been around since Tom's grandfather started it in 1885, selling pianos, organs, and sewing machines. And let's not forget about steamship tickets. After electricity, they've been known around the Muskegon area for their name brand appliances like LG and Whirlpool. Olson's at 881 Lincoln are open Monday through Friday from 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. and Saturday from 10 a.m. to 3 p.m. Olson's also has great flat screens, great prices, knowledgeable service techs, manufacturer warranty, local delivery, hauling away old appliances, and hookup. Need appliance repair? Call Olson's experienced and honest technicians for the best value in town. So call a local business that's been in Muskegon since before electricity. Olson's, a local name you can trust. 881 Laketon, open Monday through Friday from 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. and Saturday from 10 a.m. to 3 p.m. Or call 722-2458. Olson's.
I'm running for Circuit Court Judge in the 14th Circuit for the state of Michigan. For 15 years, I've been the judge of choice for parties who want to hire me to act as the judge and make a decision in their case. Not only have I been experienced as a judge, as an arbitrator, I have been the judge or arbitrator of choice of parties. They chose me because of my skills and talents. I doubt that any of my opponents in this race have any experience at all, either being a circuit court mediator or certainly an arbitrator. At least to my knowledge, I don't think they have any experience like that. So I believe I do have probably the broadest and most extensive experience for this job of any of the candidates running.
Experience really does matter, and it sounds to me like you bring an awful lot of that to the table.
Thank you.
Paid for by the committee to elect David Wells for Circuit Court Judge. Classic Computer Sales and Service. They buy, sell, trade, repair, and upgrade. New custom-built computers, 3-year guarantee, excludes laptops. Or your computer tuned up with more memory, hard drive, or maybe a DVD burner installed for $49.95. Need cables, power supply, or get the computer built the way you want it? You can do it at Classic Computer in their new location, 1921 Apple Avenue, Suite B. Call 773-5957. Classic Computer with hometown quality service.
Bad boys, what you want, what you want, what you gonna do when Sheriff John Brown come for you?
Call Bad Boys Bail Bonds, open 24/7, 365 days a year. Agents statewide and nationwide. We do 10% bonds for less. Call toll free 866-728-6400. And remember, if we can't get you out, you ain't getting out. Payment plans available. Call now, 866-728-6400.
What do you get at Little River?
More fun than ever.
This month, celebrate the beginning of summer with a $150,000 summer sweepstakes. Come for huge cash drawings every Thursday and 2 special Saturday drawings June 16th and June 30th, worth a total of $100,000. Win entries every day, plus 50 bonus entries Saturday, June 2nd, 9th, and 23rd at any promo kiosk. Then be here to win big Saturday, June 16th and again on the 30th. Dive into summer with loads of cash in our $150,000 summer sweepstakes. Play Sunday through Thursday and get points for gas. Plus, get 3 times points every Sunday. Mondays, play Bull Rider kiosks for food and river credits. Tuesdays, get floor-wide pinball payouts all day. Wednesdays, come in for Club 55. And Fridays, take advantage of BOGO Buffet. Check LRCR.com for promo details.
More fun than ever.
Sail on into Crosswinds, Whitehall's favorite lakeside restaurant. Take your seat and enjoy views of the lake from the comfort of our dining room or the waterside deck. Our chefs have created a playful menu of offerings such as fresh fish, steaks, delicious salads, and gourmet burgers to tempt your palate, all of which are made of fresh ingredients from local farms. Refreshing signature cocktails and a food-friendly wine and beer list are also available. Boaters, call ahead and we will have your order ready for pickup, or allow us to deliver it to you dockside. As our guests, you can expect friendly service and a relaxing, memorable dining experience. So set sail to Crosswinds and let the breeze bring you here.
Make a run for the border. Taco Bell is waiting to cook for you. Delicious tacos, nachos, chalupas, gorditas, quesadillas, or try their famous grilled stuffed burrito for only $1.99. Make it a combo for only $3.49. Their large variety includes specialties, combos, supreme, salads, and kids' meals. Taco Bell, the best fast food north of the border. So walk in or drive up. Visit all of the Taco Bells in West Michigan. Open Sunday through Thursday, 10 a.m. to 11 p.m. Taco Bell's open Fridays and Saturdays from 10 a.m. until 1 a.m.
I'm running for Circuit Court Judge in the 14th Circuit for the state of Michigan. As a Circuit Court Judge, I would do my very best and promote not only maintaining the courts that we have and building up the fledgling ones that we have, but also developing a drug court in Muskegon. I think it's very important. It's going to take a Circuit Court Judge who is dedicated to this because it involves a lot of coordination with the prosecutor's office and the defender's office. You need grants and you need income for these specialized treatment programs.
Other judges that we have here in the county, they really bring not just temperament and great judgment and compassion, but they bring an array of experience. Seems to me that you have an awful lot of that already, and I wish you the best in the coming election.
Thank you. I hope the voters feel that way too on August 7th.
Paid for by the committee to elect David Wells for Circuit Court Judge.
For munchies, sorry, so-and-sos, you got your damn hams in every pocket of my clothes.
Oh, my golly. The dadgum government in this case may be enabled by the dadgum unions and the dadgum uninformed voters coming up November. This is Eye on Muskegon. I'm Jim Riley. Oscar Osbo, Tracy Lorenz, and we've got on the phone, and thanks so much for hanging on, Mackinac Center's Jack Spencer. We just got done talking about this odious, horrible, miserable scam that's perpetrated by the unions along with their collaboration friends in the Democrat Party and some kind of idiot Republicans, I understand, had supported this too.
Don't mince words.
Called the Citizens for Affordable Quality Home Care.
Happy hour on Sunday.
And well, it you know, if that doesn't wreck your day, I don't know what will. It's a terrible thing. But wait, there's more. There are, believe it or not, there are some other initiatives and referendums that we're going to be voting on that are even worse. And Jack, I didn't ask you this, so it's okay if you don't know the answer. But are these? Actually, I don't think any of these are initiatives or referendums. These are all constitutional amendments. Am I correct in that?
I don't know, because to be honest with you, I didn't study the bridge one and a couple of those and the casino one. But the ones involving the unions, yes, those are constitutional amendments.
Okay, well, the way it was mentioned, or at least it was written up on M Live, they do call it 6 proposals that aim to change the state constitution. Let me ask just a question. It seems to me it's pretty easy to change the state constitution if you can just put a proposal or just get a certain number of signatures. Would it be just as easy to overturn it?
Well, I suppose. Don't forget, you say it's easy, but there's one piece of the puzzle there that you've left out by just getting the signatures. It's a whole bunch of money, too.
Okay, because the folks that support this Citizens for Affordable Quality Home Care did collect more than 550,000 signatures, and my understanding is, don't they pay these collectors around a couple bucks a signature too?
They pay them a couple bucks, and they collected them the same way that they're going to run their campaign. They went out and asked people, sign this, it'll let mom and dad stay home in their twilight years instead of having to be institutionalized.
Oh boy!
I was asked to sign it.
Were you? I had not seen this one.
And the casino one I got asked, and the bridge. I think I got hit for all three.
All right. So
I found your name, Jim.
So this is a done deal. And you know what? Well, you know what's awful about this is, as Jack said, there's no constituency really that has deep pockets or grand interest, because individually it isn't a huge amount of money for each family. I mean, I imagine it's an amount that might change the way they live, but. It is a huge amount, like you said, $30 million and counting. Well, okay, as I said, wait, there's more. There are a couple of others. Actually, there are 5 others that we're going to talk about.
What he said, I was just curious, how many, when he said he signed your name as a joke, but how many people actually do that? Do they, when they get $2 a name, how many people sign 50 different names themselves to get $2 a name? Yeah. Does that happen? I don't know.
If you actually get paid per name, yeah. I'd be sitting home and
Yeah, I'll see, I'll write it like this. And,
that's an interesting point, Oscar, because if you think about it, if I'm getting paid $2 a name, I'm not interested in, Daffy Duck. Hey, you had a goofy mom and dad, a boy named Sue.
Well, it's actually kind of foolproof because you have to put down an address too. So unless you knew the person's address,
well, yeah, but I'm saying go to a phone book.
You can't make up. You can't even make up an address. Why not make up an address? Well, and we know we do have a just retired Republican congressman, Thaddeus McCotter, who used that same precision when he got his signatures, and of course didn't have enough to.
Just curious.
How come these people are in alphabetical order? It's just a coincidence.
Well, it is scary to me because there seem to be rules for some groups in our state that are enforced, and they're not. Well, they're not enforced for other people with other opinions. But let's get to some of these other constitutional amendments. The Detroit Bridge, lots of talk about that. And there's a group backed by the owner of the Ambassador Bridge, Marty Maroon. And they've turned in signatures, apparently enough, that would require voter approval for a constitution for the construction of a second bridge, one that apparently Governor Snyder has already agreed to build. Can you tell us a little bit about this one?
Frankly, we don't cover that issue. We don't hate to take a position on it. I can tell you that I'm curious as to how anybody's going to prevent that from passing as an observer, because, as you know, they made that so unpopular with all the ads that Matty Maroon ran on it. So this is one where I can really say I'm neutral on because, as I said, Mackinac Center's never taken a position on that particular issue. I am a little concerned from the point of view of the other initiatives that, with the kind of money that was poured into the bridge advertising to begin with, that this may be another situation where their ads dominate a lot of what's on television and prevent people really looking at some of the other proposals.
Okay, that's interesting because as we get closer to August 7th, of course, these initiatives don't have anything to do with the August election, but as we're getting closer to August 7th primary, we're seeing more and more, signs up and advertisements on TV and radio, and the same thing will happen come November. And as you suggest, that the Maroons and others may be buying, well, they have already bought up ad space, and they may people will be talking about the bridge and not really having any conversation at all about some of the other ones. Let me go to the one that I think is absolutely the most frightening, as bad as this Citizens for Affordable Quality Home Care is. This 25 by 25 initiative, which they call the Michigan Energy Michigan Jobs, says it turned in over 500,000 signatures. And this would amend the state constitution to require Michigan electric utilities to derive at least 25% of their energy from clean, renewable sources by 2025. We currently have a rule that's going to kick in, I think, in a couple of years that will require the state have 10% of its energy from clean, renewable sources. This sounds to me like a wonderful idea. Why should we not go towards clean, renewable energy at a time when it's clear that the global warming, at least here in Michigan, I know it's colder than heck out there in Europe, but global warming is been proven by the fact that it's warm here in Muskegon County?
Well, here's a problem with this. First, there's a lot of things to remember about this. They say clean, renewable energy. It is wind. This is what this is about. You take all the rest and put them in an eyedropper in terms of what part they play as far as renewables. What we're talking about here is wind. And when the government started handing out free money, more or less, on all this green stuff, we created in this country a pretty relatively well-financed wind industry, which basically, in order to survive, has to go around and get these states to approve forced green energy programs, like these mandates that say 10% or 25%. That's what this is about. It's about wind turbines. And basically, if you believe in man-made climate change, it doesn't work because they're so inefficient that you still need 70% base load capacity. Fossil fuels supported energy to back them up anyway.
Can you hold off on that?
If you don't believe in it, obviously you think it's just ridiculous anyway.
Okay, but let's go back to what you said, 70%. So in other words, if we built all the wind turbines that the folks that are supporting this would have built, wouldn't we be able to shut down all these power plants and get away from fossil fuels?
No, this doesn't work. If you believe in man-made climate change, this doesn't work. And if you don't believe in man-made climate change, it doesn't work. It's about this now that we've created. Government handed out free money, which created a bunch of people who are after it, and they need to keep their shtick going. And that's what this is about. Let's force these states, and they're doing it in other states, let's force these states to say a higher percentage have to come from wind.
Doesn't California have this 25% requirement?
A couple other states have it. Actually, Michigan's 10% one, as bad as that was, and by the way, the two utilities are having trouble hitting that. Even the 10% they're struggling to hit. By 2015. Michigan's actually is somewhat lower than what some other states are. And the 25-25, you know what this turns into, Jim. It turns into them having to fudge the way they get to 25 and all these government games that end up being played, like with cap and trade, that just, it turns into something where somehow the wind industry people have to get their money, but what it has to do with the environment is absolutely nothing.
Well, wasn't this money part of the whole battery process too, though, or making batteries and that? Wasn't it the same fund, or no?
I think the battery plants that have been cropping up, at least the buildings, maybe not the production of batteries themselves, but I think that money came from the stimulus, which, of course, that money is run out. But right. I would imagine that the production of, like Jack said, the games you could play, you might say that, in fact, somehow the production of batteries somehow offsets a coal-fired power plant. But one of the things that would result from everything that I've read here, and I don't even think that the proponents disagree with this, is what the President of the United States, Barack Obama, said in his campaign, which was his plans to increase the amount of renewable energy would, by definition or by necessity, cause home and business electricity rates to skyrocket. And skyrocket is the term that he used. So wouldn't it be a benefit to the state of Michigan to keep our 10%, as I think it's a bad move anyway, but to keep the 10% rather than going to 25%? Wouldn't that give us a competitive advantage to these other states that are, in fact, moving up to 20 and 25 and whatever?
Well, the way that law was written, the 10% even gets to be reviewed in 2015.
Okay,
so again, compared to some other states, as bad as it was in Michigan, compared to some other states, it wasn't quite as it left the opportunity for some changes. The way this connects with the battery stuff, by the way, is it's just it's the same concept in terms of create the demands, things that don't work, but you still have to go after it or spend money on it. And all the proponents, whether it's batteries or wind, will say, yeah, sure, it costs more now, but when it's all operative, when we get all the bugs out, down the line, 20 years from now, it's going to save money and create jobs. We went through all that with Jennifer Granholm. It's amazing to me that these people have the guts to be saying the same stuff she said for 8 years. It sounds just like her rhetoric, and it's amazing to me that they think it'll work. But who knows?
So when I'm dead, I'll be able to buy a Volt.
yeah, the economy will have come back. Well, I would ask, and I suspect I know the answer. It's always more fun to ask a question where you're going to get the answer you hope for. But the concept of windmills and wind power is certainly nothing new. And notwithstanding the windmills that we've got down in Holland, Michigan, but wind power and these things have been all over the country, if not the world, for at least 10 years. I'm sure longer than that. Where isn't there data? Aren't these folks the proponents of this? Aren't they showing data? That these have been up, and in fact they're really performing. Where is that the proof?
What they do is they make those claims. It's all the old, walnut game. Find the pea under the walnut and then shuffle the walnuts around. This thing has hit the wall in Europe. They're about 5-6 years ahead of us on this stuff, and they've gotten to the point there where you can only subsidize this stuff so long, and the costs start to become ridiculous.
Okay, so there is a track record, and it's turning out that in fact, unless you subsidize it to the point where you turn into Greece or Italy or Portugal or Ireland or the rest of the pigs out in Europe, that in fact they end up really just big behemoths that don't produce anything. And one of the things that I've noticed when it's been discussed here in Muskegon about putting wind towers out at the wastewater center, which at some point at the wastewater treatment center, it's going to be entirely all of the energy of the Western world is going to be focused on that one little spot. But the electricity that is going to come from this, in and of itself, ought to be good enough for our county commissioners and others to vote for it. But one thing that they very proudly say is that, and be very sure that we are making a provision within this contract with the builders of these towers that there will be money available to tear them down in the event that they don't work and we want to tear them down, which I found quite interesting that they would be making a big point of that at this level of discussion.
Well, you've seen pictures of some of these around the world that are left to just rust.
Yeah, and just like I know there was a situation with one of the airlines, one of the small airlines that was running flights out of Kalamazoo Airport to Florida. There is a federal law that requires that airlines have a fund that in the event that they go bankrupt, that people who had purchased tickets, they will be compensated. Well, of course, this airline went bankrupt, and I know John Van Wyck, one of the co-hosts during the week, had purchased some tickets in advance, and there was no compensation available. And even though there was a federal law, how dare they not have the money available? I'm sure that these guarantees of compensation in the event they don't work out will be as accurate as their promises of cheap energy too.
Always tell them to the billboard companies. Yeah, there'll be a place right there.
Well,
billboard.
Yeah, isn't it funny? That's a great point. The people who are so incensed by looking at billboards go buy these things out of the war on the world, H.G. Wells kind of things. And if you've ever seen them, my gosh, they go on for
it's
miles,
impressive,
miles.
Yeah. The one down in Indiana is
I kind of think of Heidi myself when I see them.
Here's
Heidi.
Talking about not seeing these things, though, you have to understand what this is going to create. They're already having problems hitting the 10% because local people don't want these. What's going to happen if they have to do 25%?
Well,
you're basically going to end up having to have laws that just tell people locally, you got to have these. I don't know how else they're going to be able to do it.
Well, that seems to me to be a grand job producer because just like our Muskegon County commissioners who like to bring in armed sheriff's officers when there's a discussion about energy, that we could have additional police officers to make sure people do not complain about having these towers in their backyards. Now, I suspect that, though, on where the Kennedy compound is out there in Cape Cod, that they won't be bothered by these wonderful things because they are Kennedys and others. We've got to come up to another break. Please, if you could hang on for just a little bit because I want to touch on the rest of them, if you could, Jack. So we will be right back.
Make a run for the border. Taco Bell is waiting to cook for you. Delicious tacos, nachos, chalupas, gorditas, quesadillas, or try their famous grilled stuffed burrito for only $1.99. Make it a combo for only $3.49. Their large variety includes specialties, combos, supreme, salads, and kids' meals. Taco Bell, the best fast food north of the border. So walk in or drive up. Visit all of the Taco Bells in West Michigan. Open Sunday through Thursday, 10 a.m. to 11 p.m. Taco Bell's open Fridays and Saturdays from 10 a.m. until 1 a.m.
I'm running for circuit court judge in the 14th Circuit for the state of Michigan. For 15 years, I've been the judge of choice for parties who want to hire me to act as the judge and make a decision in their case. Not only have I been experienced as a judge, as an arbitrator, I have been the judge or arbitrator of choice of parties. They chose me because of my skills and talents. I doubt that any of my opponents in this race have any experience at all, either being a circuit court mediator or certainly an arbitrator. At least to my knowledge, I don't think they have any experience like that. So I believe I do have probably the broadest and most extensive experience for this job of any of the candidates running.
Experience really does matter, and it sounds to me like you bring an awful lot of that to the table.
Thank you.
Paid for by the committee to elect David Wells for Circuit Court Judge. Classic Computer Sales and Service. They buy, sell, trade, repair, and upgrade. New custom-built computers, 3-year guarantee, excludes laptops. Or your computer tuned up with more memory, hard drive, or maybe a DVD burner installed for $49.95. Need cables, power supply, or get the computer built the way you want it? You can do it at Classic Computer in their new location, 1921 Apple Avenue, Suite B. Call 773-5957. Classic Computer with hometown quality service.
Bad boys, what you want, what you want, what you gonna do when Sheriff John Brown come for you?
Call Bad Boys Bail Bonds, open 24/7, 365 days a year. Agents statewide and nationwide. We do 10% bonds for less. Call toll free 866-728-6400. And remember, if we can't get you out, you ain't getting out. Payment plans available. Call now, 866-728-6400.
Well, you dadgum government, you sorry so-and-so's.
I'm from the government, and I'm here to help you. Famous phrase that we all ought to be familiar with. This is I, Muskegon, Jim
then you
Riley.
hear the rubber glove snap.
There we go. I'm from the government. Please bend over. Or not even please anymore. We have a sheriff who will require that you bend over. We got Tracy, Lorenz, Oscar Osbo, and from the Mackinac Center, Jack Spencer. I'm going to start off with a quote here on this section here. James Madison, very famous, one of the founders, "It will be of little avail to the people that the laws are made by men of their own choice if the laws be so voluminous that they cannot be read or so incoherent that they cannot be understood." And if some of these initiatives, constitutional amendments, are they really fit the bill, and it's very distressing. We are going to do our best here at Ion Muskegon, and I know you folks at the Mackinac Center really do a tremendous job at getting the word out. We just got to let people know you've got to be involved, or you will be bent over, and you will hear that snap of the rubber glove, and I assure you it will not be comfortable unless perhaps in California, but we're not there. Okay, we've got a few more proposals that are going to change your life here. One is another one which has to do with union rights, and again, this is one that ought to be quite popular. I'll read the synopsis here. It says, a union-backed coalition that wants to enshrine certain collective bargaining rights in the state constitution. And it seems to me that most people in the state of Michigan believe that unions should have collective bargaining rights, and why should it be left to the politicians to change it willy-nilly? Let's put it in the Constitution of Michigan and enshrine it, is their term. What's wrong with that?
Well, first of all, collective bargaining rights, the polling on that term is what changes how people react to it is whether you use the word rights or not. And the reality is public sector collective bargaining, government unions never really had what you call rights, though they had statutes that allowed them to do certain things. The Snyder administration got in and the Republicans took over last year, and they started curbing collective bargaining advantages. They started taking away some of the advantages that unions had gotten at the collective bargaining table.
Now, these are public employee unions, though. These are not regular unions.
The whole thing is about government unions.
Okay.
This is not about the people out there in the private sector.
Okay. So this isn't General Motors. This is state employees or county employees or the others of that sort.
Exactly, and this proposal is to do a couple things. One, it's to make sure that Michigan never can become a right-to-work state. That's one of the things it will do.
There we go. All right.
The other thing it will do is undo everything and lock in all of these bargaining advantages. Now, no one has passed a law saying these people can't bargain collectively. but they try to act as if they had. They basically have said, look, if we don't have all these advantages, it's the same as if you'd taken away our right to bargain collectively. This is going to be an interesting one, and I must say this one and the wind one we talked about, at least there's organized opposition against, so at least you've got that going. But I'm very interested to see how the unions play this when they get the campaign going, because, all these arguments on collective bargaining rights, et cetera, that were made in Wisconsin, by the time it got down to the last 6 months there on the Scott Walker recall, the union stopped using all of those arguments. Apparently, they really do not work.
Okay. Well, and the interesting thing about Wisconsin, which in fact did curtail some of these abuses of the government worker unions, is that the benefits started almost immediately. As a matter of fact, I know the Walker administration and folks in Wisconsin, the MacGyver Institute, which is their version of the Mackinac Center, they are the benefits to school boards and school systems and cities and towns and counties is amazing. They're balancing their budgets for the first time in decades.
Well, we'll see what happens here, because I honestly can't say that I'm sure how the unions are going to advertise this thing. Are they going to actually go ahead and continue to say something that's close to what this actually does, the way they have argued and the way they argued in Wisconsin initially, remember, with the protests and everything in 2011, or are they going to look at the real polling on this collective bargaining stuff and say, nope, we've got to come up with some kind of a cover story to claim that this is doing something else? And I honestly don't know which way they're going to play it.
Well, we've got time between now and November 7th, so we'll have you back to talk about how they present it. But you said something that caught my attention, which is at least there's opposition to these. And if I can just direct you here, there is opposition from the Michigan Chamber of Commerce and businesses and others towards these two, the union rights and the renewable energy bills. In other words, you're going to see money go in to say these are big, vote no on these. But you had also told me earlier that there is no constituency for these home health care folks, so there aren't going to be any ads. There's very little information about these poor folks.
Groups will be against it, but not to the extent. It's hard to imagine, with all these other things on the ballot, that one's going to be the last one down the list as far as people putting money in, as far as really ads or anything.
Isn't it something that the liberals are so big when you're going to cut the pay of a liberal constituency, but when a union comes in and actually takes money out of the checks that they're getting, which is the net effect of cutting their pay, they're silent. It certainly says a lot about those on the left.
Well, this one's really sad because they've got an entire array of care people, supposedly, these groups in Lansing, public assistance advocates, and it's pretty clear with their cooperation on this that when push comes to shove, they're less about public assistance, and apparently they're so beholden to the unions that they're willing to play along.
Well, and that's why the state of Michigan's been in the mess it's been for so long. We're running out of time here. We've got two other ones here. One is kind of simple. It supports the opening of 8 new casinos in Michigan, and another one talks about making it more difficult for the state government to raise taxes in Michigan. The casino one, I suppose, if you like casinos or not, that's an issue. But the state taxes, that doesn't seem to be a bad one to me.
Well, we've been on record in support of the concept that to raise taxes, you'd have to have 2/3 supermajorities. So basically, that's one that we have a history of supporting in concept. I have to say, though, in all honesty, the government's had a history of, once you do that kind of thing, figuring out ways around it down the line. In other words, making something a fee instead of a tax increase or something like that. But that's one we've been on the record in concept of supporting. The gaming one, as you say, boy, I just have trouble seeing anybody wearing a white hat on that one.
Okay, all right. Well, look, we are out of time. Thank you so much, Jack, for the Mackinac Center. Jack Spencer. We will have you back again. You keep up the hard fight. hopefully we're going to hear you with a little more optimistic point of view, maybe in November. I can't imagine you're going to get a lot more optimistic before then, but we do have some elections here, some August elections, and again, thank you for that. Hey, folks, don't forget that I do post the full audio of this show on Sunday afternoons. Just go to ionmuskegon.com. You can listen to everything that we talked about here. I'm also on, as I've been for the last few months now, the Talkin' Muskegon Show on 1090 WKBZ with John Van Wyck and Brian Worsham every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. And Oscar's got us on primetime television, TV 38, Comcast TV 397, and no laughing from the guy down south in Grand Haven. This is primetime, baby, and you're on it, by the way.
Hey, can I invite every politician and every person of government and everybody to have fun on this coming Wednesday over at Montague Band Shell. We're going to have an oldies dance, PT and OZ.
And what time is that?
It's going to be at 6 o'clock at the Band Shell. So come on over and have some fun. Free.
Wednesday, up in Montague, up in the North Country. Hey, next Sunday we're going to focus on transparency, accountability, and openness in our government, which, of course, we haven't seen too much lately. So you can listen to us on the internet. Go to ionmuskegon.com. Check out my show and the prep links on Muskegon Pundit. And stay tuned for Tom Sanaki and dance around. Next week, folks, we'll put the eye on you, Muskegon.
Love me sometime.